Senator Griffo, I know you have some concerns about the new casino selection process. What are those particularly?
Well, I've written a number of letters to the Gaming Commission. Some of the concerns were when we talk about how the industry is struggling right now. If you look at the closures in Atlantic City and some of the other casinos that are struggling across various parts of the country, and while there was an okay to move forward on gaming in the state, I thought we should be more deliberative. And when this was originally passed, many of these circumstances and factors were not in the equation. So I had recommended that you move slowly, but the Gaming Commission chose not to do that. Then I was concerned, and obviously advocating for our region, we have a number of facilities here involved, whether it's the Turning Stone or Vernon Downs, and you have a lot of people that are working there. But equally as important is when they made a decision on location, geographically, it didn't make a lot of sense when they designated the Seneca County Casino because it was originally slated for the southern tier. So if you look at the geography, Seneca County really is not the southern tier, but they were allocated a casino, and that was concerning too. But then you began to look at statistically, not only with the economic climate that now is ongoing within the gaming industry, and you want to avoid saturation. But then you look at some of the designations of the Gaming Location Board and the concerns that regions are expressing now, including ours. And so this latest letter was basically saying the intent of the legislation that was passed to give the voters a chance to decide on whether they wanted to approve additional casinos indicated that this would add jobs and grow the economy and provide more funding in various areas. And now the concern that I have is that may not be the case. And if you're going to shift jobs, it becomes a zero-sum game. That is problematic. So what I've asked for is statistical analysis to show us today who are employed and where they're employed within this industry, and we should do the same thing in 2 years. Now, the concern, so they're not listening to move slowly or to change their mind. So what I'm trying to do now is to pressure them to at least provide statistics that we can ultimately indicate whether or not it is going to take jobs away or whether it's actually going to grow jobs. I still believe you're going to see a shifting, and I think that's problematic and unfortunate.
Okay, another topic of interest that we covered earlier this morning is the lawsuit filed by Eric Schneiderman at the Attorney General's office against the Utica School District, and we had in some guests talking about that, seeking more funding for Utica City Schools, and also trying to fight that lawsuit on a number of levels. And the suggestion was that we, as average citizens, could get involved by writing letters to you, Senator, and to Anthony Brindisi and others advocating for the Utica School District. What are your thoughts on this matter?
Well, there's two aspects there. First of all, on the litigation, I think it's ridiculous, and we've said that. I don't understand the Attorney General. I know he's trying to elevate his profile, and maybe bringing this into the whole refugee issue that's being discussed nationally right now. And there may be some retaliatory nature to this because the school district did join other small cities in litigation. But I believe that it's unnecessary, and I spoke to the superintendent, Karam, and I believe they had some discussions. This was something we learned about after we heard it on the radio and read it in the newspapers. So we've reached out to the AG's office, and again, I think that's problematic, and I'm not sure what the next step will be, but we're hopeful that he'll reconsider this. And beyond that, obviously there's a funding issue, and we've discussed that. The Assemblyman and I have legislation in that we're trying to advocated to move so that we have a better funding formula. And I think that's what the litigation that Utica is involved in would force, much in the same way that the CFE lawsuit forced the foundation of Foundation Aid many years ago. So we'll see what happens, but I'm hopeful that we can get the Attorney General to revisit this, and then ultimately also that the resources are provided to districts like Utica that have demonstrated need.
And I know, Tim, you're a Utica resident still, and you have kids in the Utica School District. You have special concerns, too.
No, I sure do, Senator. And you know this. I mean, we were working on this back, when I was in office, I was working with the Utica City School District. And, the funding for the Utica City School District is poor at best. And considering that the district is a poor district and has many of the, basically is is towing the weight for the area on the refugees and the many different languages spoken in the city of Utica School District. I mean, why do you think it's been such a problem to get more funding to the city school district? I mean, there is certainly is monies available. The governor has shown an ability to go out and disperse monies to his pet projects, as well as other pet projects throughout the state. But what is more important than educating the masses and making sure these kids are educated? And I think that's where the real problem with Schneiderman's lawsuit comes into play, is the fact that, as I kind of tried to explain it earlier, it's like me running into your car and then suing you for denting my car. It's just, we have our hands tied with what we're able to do here due to the funding issue. I think they do a very, very good job in the Utica City School District, what's going on there. But this is an issue that's not a new issue as far as the funding goes. This has been going on for a long time, and we get drips and droplets of funding along the way. But never anything that makes a substantial difference. But for a parent who is, again, doing what needs to be done to see our kids go into classes that have 30-plus students in it is somewhat disheartening. And it really looks as though the Utica City School District has been left on its own to make do with whatever it can make do with. I don't know if you have an opinion on that, or if you have something that you could say that we would be looking forward to, or what have you. But
yeah, no, I think it's a very good point. That's what we've tried to do, and we're trying to do it legislatively. The problem is you have a number of geographic issues where representatives from various areas feel differently, and that's why, and everybody's thinking that they need a piece of the pie. The focus that we've tried to advocate for is a greater attention and dedication of resources to the high needs, low wealth districts, and Utica obviously would be one of those identified. And that's why we've put in this new piece of legislation that we hope will rectify some of this. But again, we've got to build that coalition. That's why the lawsuits in the past, whether it was a CFE, the success of the CFE, and hopefully even now the small cities lawsuit, will force the legislature, the governor, to recognize and deal with this the way it should be. So we're going to try to do this by trying to bring together enough of a coalition to build the support to see if we can't find the support legislatively. In the process, you're on a parallel path with the litigation. So I'm hopeful that there'll be a recognition, and that we can. There should be two aspects in Utica, in my opinion. One is a demonstrated need based on the fact that they are high needs, low wealth. They have many special circumstances and challenges, and many of the school districts in our area would qualify under the prior category that I indicated. But equally as important is the fact that there's a special situation going on here, much in the same way, if you recall, when the military was around, they had special impact aid for districts. Now, I know you could get some help, but not significant help, because they have willingly taken on the refugee population, and we need to do more in providing direct assistance in that regard, too. I still think I agree with the mayor there that this is a school district that's done an extraordinary job, and to have a finger pointed at them now and lawsuit instigated is ridiculous, as I had indicated earlier.